Hi everyone, I'm Carol Keller, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Illinois in the United States. And I'm coming to you today with a really fun card using the What's Cooking bundle, which is one of our sadly retiring bundles. It is on the last chance list, and by good fortune though, it is also 20% off. It's part of our 20% off sale this month. So if you like it, snap it up before that sale is over at the end of the month. It is, like I said, a really fun set, and I'm sad that I just started working with it because I've got lots of ideas, but I hope you like my card. And I'm going to turn my camera around right away so that we can get started with today's project. Here is the card that I designed today using the really fun What's Cookin' bundle. And I love it because not only is it very cute and fun, it is also 20% off this month. The bundle is part of our special for this month, so if you love the set as much as I do, snatch it up while it's on sale and before it retires, because sadly it is also on the last chance list. Here is the stamp set. So lots of fun things used with cooking and some cute little sayings, which we're going to be using today. Happiness is homemade. What's cooking? Sending you a dash of kindness and a spoonful of love. And here are the dies that go with it. And I love it. We're using some of these that don't have coordinating or companion stamps, like all three of these actually, but also some of the dies obviously cut out some of the stamps. So let's get right started right away with the project. I used a basic white card base with a Saffron first layer, but I decided to change it up, and I'm going to see what it looks like in very vanilla. So we're just going to have a very vanilla card base, standard A2 or A4 card base, and no layer of cardstock. So we're going to be stamping and adhering all of our pieces right on this layer. I have already prepped some of them because I've already die cut, especially those pieces that I said are companions that don't have stamps to go with them. So I've die cut those already, but we are going to do some stamping. So I'm going to use, this is Pool Party that I'm using for the bowl, and I'm stamping that also in Pool Party. So Pool Party cardstock and ink. So we've got that bowl, like I said, just using a little scrap. And then we'll cut that out. So we'll put that aside. And then while I have the Pool Party ink, I'm bringing in a scrap of basic white, because we're going to use that for the little spatula. It reminds me I have a spatula that's actually a little deeper, probably more like Bermuda Bay, but I was going for some softer colors. That does remind me of what I have in my own kitchen. And next I've got a little, well, kind of a big scrap of crumb cake and some crumb cake ink. And we're going to stamp the rolling pin in crumb cake. I guess we'll just do it right up at the top. And then I'm going to cut those out, which actually, by the magic of video, I have already done. And then the last thing we're going to stamp, we're actually going to be doing some embossing. And I've got one more piece. This is a piece of Designer Series paper from the In Good Taste Designer Series paper pack. It is cut at 3/4 of an inch by 3 inches. Or 1.9 centimeters by 7.5 centimeters. And so we're going to use that also, but we'll put it aside. And so let's do some stamping now with our Versamark. I have a scrap of silver foil paper, and this is just perfect for this. So I'm going to use it to cut out, or I used it to cut out the whisk, but we're also going to stamp and then cut out the cups, because if we just did the outline, you really wouldn't have the definition of where the measuring cups, where each one ends and the next one begins. So we're going to bring in the Versamark, because that's what we need for embossing. And we're going to stamp it on here. And the reason we have to emboss is that the paper is very shiny. I tried just stamping on it and then drying it with my heat tool to see if that would work, but it really did not. You have to emboss. So luckily we have silver embossing powder. So I'm going to bring that in, bring in my little tray to do some of that embossing. So I'm just taking my silver embossing powder, and pouring it all over that. And always flick it then to get the excess embossing powder off, although it's less of an issue on this project because we are cutting it out. If there are stray pieces that get melted, it's not really going to matter that much. And I'm going to bring in my heat tool and we'll just heat that. And I'm keeping it away from my work surface because let me tell you, it will melt my grid paper that I have laminated. Ask me how I know. But hopefully you can see that it's melting and it's that quick. We now have it embossed. And I've also cut that out as well. So I'll bring in the one that I've cut out with the die cut. Now it's just a matter of assembling and doing a little more stamping. So we will start out with that little piece on the top, and we'll put that on with Stampin' Seal. And there's an element I forgot in this, but I am going to add it to this one. Haha. And that was what actually prompted me doing the hanging tools. So I will show you what that is in a minute. But we'll put on some Stampin' Seal, and then at the top I'm going to use just a little glue dot to help hold that on. And you want that pretty far up toward the top and over to the left. And next our whisk. And I left it a little free floating, so I just put a glue dot on the back at the top because it just makes it a little more 3D. And we'll place that one. And then last but not least, the spatula. And for this I used ink. I would also, for this I also use my multi-purpose liquid glue, but I also, if I did it again, would use my adhesive sheets on the back of the black before I die cut it, and then just peel it off and stick it. That would be the easiest way. So I'm going to move that whisk a little bit too once I place this. I'm going to move that over just a little bit. Well, maybe I won't. It's actually pretty well centered. I am going to leave it maybe like that. Well, maybe a smidge. We'll move it over just a smidge. And down a little bit. And so again, we've got that whisk. It's a little bit bent. Do it that way. That's better. So they're a little bit more 3D, even the bottom of the spatula. But I think that makes it a little more fun. And then for these, I'm going to layer. I'm going to put them where I want them to go before I actually glue them down. Yeah, I think about like that. So we're going to start with the one that's in the back, which is the measuring cups. Again, just going to use my seal. Love my seal. And then the bowl. And the rolling pin. I'm going to do something just a little different with the spatula. I'm going to have it leaning on the bowl like that. I thought of that after and it was too late to move it. And so for this also, I think I'll be using my glue for that handle end because it's so narrow. But again, you could also use an adhesive sheet. Oh yeah, I like that better. It's kind of leaning right up against the bowl. And then all we have is a little bit of stamping and then a little extra surprise. So for my stamping, I'm using Bermuda Bay, and we're just going to stamp that "What's Cookin'" up in the corner. And while we have the same ink on the inside, sending you a dash of kindness and a spoonful of love. Also on the inside, I'm going to bring back my crumb cake ink because I should have done this earlier. And I'm going to, since it says a spoonful of love, we're going to stamp a spoon right here. And I will probably do the same thing on the envelope. And then what I did also on the inside, I used a die cut spoon because I had an extra one just from playing with what I wanted on the front. So you could do that as well. But definitely, I do like this too, and I am going to do that also on the front of the envelope. So we are almost done with our card. So I thought about using the metallic pearls, which are sadly on the last chance list, but they're a little bit small. So I'm going to go with something a little bigger. I'm bringing in the brushed metallic adhesive-backed dots, and I'm going to put them on with my take your pick tool. I can't decide whether to use the gold or the brass, so maybe I'll use one on each. Maybe we'll try the brass ones on here. And I'm going to use the larger ones. Since the holes are sort of big. And on the other one, I'm going to try the gold, and then you can decide what you like better. And there you have it. Two very similar versions of the same card. What do you think? Let me know in the comments which you like better. I think I like it better on the vanilla, and I definitely like the spatula leaning against the bowl. Thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you watching the videos on my channel and on my Facebook page. Leave me some love in the comments, like I said. Come back to my YouTube channel, because I have other videos with cards, scrapbook pages, paper pumpkin alternatives that I do every month, tips, techniques, and home decor items. And on my Facebook page, I do a live video every Tuesday afternoon at 4:30 Central Time. So I would love it if you join me for that too. Thanks again, and I will see you again soon. Remember to take advantage of that sale before the end of the month. It's for the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, which I use to cut out all of these items because they all fit in there. That's 20% off, and there are a bunch of bundles also 20% off. You can find that list also on my Facebook page, Carol Keller Independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. So if you want to place an order, please contact me and I will get you set up. Happy stamping, everyone. Bye-bye.